What's up? We are here. We've got Nintendo Prime on the line for a discussion about the Nintendo Switch 2. Nintendo Prime, one of the biggest, one of the first people to start. I heard, man, this man was flossing on Twitter. I love it. You got people hyping it up. Prime, how do you feel right now about this?
Look, all that really matters is that it's here. Like,
Yeah.
All the prior videos or rumors and all the haters out there, they can say and do what they want. It doesn't really matter. It's here. And
Yeah.
I don't deserve any credit for it. Nate the Hate's the one who put it out there. So
Yeah, absolutely. So this trailer, I mean, but we all believed in Nate the Hate, right? Like Nate the Hate got a lot of flack. I know I was able to catch some of the replay of your podcast, and you guys seem to be all kind of on the boat that, yeah, it didn't come tonight, but Nate's gonna be right about that. Most of you guys were. I think maybe there was some people that weren't, but I know you were believing in Nate. So to see Nate actually have like that vindication, how he was not worried at all. He was not worried because for some reason people thought that Nintendo was going to announce it beforehand like the Switch 1, but there was no guarantee that they would. So when I was on my stream last night, I was like, listen guys, there's no guarantee that Nintendo's going to make an announcement beforehand,
yeah, like and look, obviously Nintendo does tend to announce like directs the day before and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But like this was said by, I believe it was Andy Robinson, who said it was going to be a teaser trailer, not like a big blowout. So if you look at what they did with the Switch Lite and the Switch OLED, they didn't warn us before they revealed it. They just revealed them. Mm-hmm. And those both happened under Furukawa. So Furukawa's technically never warned us of a hardware reveal.
That's next level. That's the type of analysis that you're only going to get from somebody who covers Nintendo for the most part. Otherwise, you'll be getting people that say, hey, look, Nintendo announces backwards compatibility. That doesn't mean physical games. It just means digital for right now. Otherwise, you're going to get that type of analysis from people. So keep that in mind, guys. When you're watching this content out there, keep in mind who's actually talking, because there are people that don't know what they're talking about, but they will say things. Good one on that. Good catch on there, Prime. I did not even think about that. Okay, so let's talk about the actual trailer. The trailer is playing. I know you were taking notes. What are the first things that stood out to you about the Nintendo Switch 2? Because it is obviously a Nintendo Switch, but better. But what are the first things that stood out for you?
Next handheld's legit. But setting that aside,
that's the leaker for those who don't know. The leaker who leaked the
AI images, but then like had real images of the Switch. Like it was all real. So that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Setting that, because like we've never had that kind of leak before, so like that was kind of crazy that actually all turned out to be correct. Mm-hmm. But setting that aside, no, I think mostly just that it's another Switch. Which is exactly what I wanted Nintendo to do, coming off one of my favorite generations of theirs, and I think they're onto something here with this system. I don't think people are tired of it. I mean, look at the sales in year 8. People are definitely not tired of the concept. So you keep that going. It shows confidence. They could have came out and showed a bunch of games. They're like, nope, Mario Kart. That's all we got to show you right now. Don't worry about it. Mm-hmm. Jason Schreier put out there afterwards that, hey, Nintendo did this, so third parties can announce their games. Probably going to see a ton of third-party trailers over the next.
I did not see that. I did not know. Okay, so I haven't been on Twitter yet. I've just been focusing on the chat because the chat's just been going crazy today. So I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah, so Jason Schreier put that out there. I know Paul Gale Network said yesterday he knows about one third-party trailer that's supposed to drop shortly after the reveal. I don't know if that's today or tomorrow. So that's exciting. But just thinking about the reveal itself, look, everything is as kind of been rumored and reported. It's bigger. It looks like they even showed off mouse functionality, even though they didn't show it being used in the game. They clearly show the Joy-Con sliding on a table. I mean, you can even see the sensors on both Joy-Cons. Like, it very clearly looks like that mouse capability seems to be, I don't want to say confirmed until we see it in the game, but I mean, why else are they sliding it on that table?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's what people pointed out so much, when it comes down to it. What did you think when it comes to the hardware, just a little bit more? What did you think? They didn't have the C button, like C on there, but the button was definitely there. I think that they hit it to not try to give away something. What do you think?
Yeah. I think that's a feature they're going to save to reveal in April. Mm-hmm. I think they clearly have something there. They just don't want people. I mean, there's already speculation around what it is, but just like we didn't see the OS, we didn't see anything like that. So this wasn't a deep dive. It was literally a tease. So I think that that is a feature they're trying to save. Like I think they tease the mouse feature. They'll show that off in a game next time, unless a third party shows it off first. And then that particular C button, the fact that Jason Schreier said that third parties can now show their games, Makes me think the C button isn't related to game anything. Um, but I do think that they're clearly just hiding that. They want to save a surprise, because right now, even with all the leaks, even with everything out there, we still don't know what that button's for.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. What did you think about the hardware when it comes to like the is it pressure sensitive triggers, or is it like it seems like it's regular? Is it digital? What do you think about that on the top?
I think they're digital. Now,
Okay.
to put a little hype into this, the number one thing I saw on my live stream today was like, oh, dude, like this looks neat, it looks clean, it looks like all the renders we've seen. However, did they fix the drift? Next handheld, the guy who's just got vilified today said it was Hall sensing sticks. So
Yeah. And Nintendo put out there was a patent that showed that they patented the Hall effect, you know?
yep.
So, and listen, nobody wants more lawsuits, you know?
No,
Nobody
really
wants
not.
more lawsuits. Nintendo had so many lawsuits or had some lawsuits with that, and it was a problem overall. So that's like the last thing that you want is to go into with the same issues. So yeah, I think the Hall effect there will be better. Let's talk about. So we talked about the hardware. Obviously, it's a bigger Switch. It's a more powerful Switch. Specs wise, let's get into that just a little bit. I know we don't know everything. There's been leaks, but what are your thoughts on the leaked specs? I know you covered it. I watched the video that you put out there. You covered that. I covered it. We're looking like the specs, a little bit better. Steam Deck, portable. Maybe up PlayStation 4. People are saying PS4, PS4 Pro, Xbox Series S. People are putting all sorts of stuff based on the leaked specs that came out there. And I've always stated, for me personally, you can't compare it to anything. Just like the Switch, it's hard to compare the Switch to anything. It's not PS3 360. It's not quite PS4 Xbox One, but it can play games that would run on the PS4 and Xbox One, but probably wouldn't run on 360 PS3. So like it's one of those things that you can't really compare it. But based off the leaked specs, what do you think about the system?
Look, as you said, you can't direct compare them, especially like when people try to compare it to PS4 or Xbox Series S and stuff like that, because they're completely different architectures that do things in completely different ways, completely different CPUs in these systems. Obviously, even different RAM levels and stuff like that. Like when people are all like, well, it's not even as powerful as like a PS4 or a PS4 Pro. I'm like, well, it's got more RAM than both. So like there are always going to be things that like are better or worse, depending on how you want to look at things. Like raw rasterization might be worse, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get worse performance because you're using more modern architecture.
Mm-hmm.
And then not factored in any of that. And by the way, this is assuming all those clocks and stuff that were leaked are correct. It was like really hard to corroborate because Family Boards was on lockdown yesterday. They just locked shit down. They didn't want anyone coming that wasn't like a big time member. But
Yeah.
I feel like that the specs might not be 100% correct because some of the things don't line up with some of the known details from the NVIDIA leak. That being said, we still don't know everything. We don't know like the L2, L3 cache. We don't know the speeds of that or how big it is. And then beyond all of that, Nintendo Switch has like 5 power profiles. And I kind of feel like they'll probably be more than just these 2 power profiles. Because there'll probably be one that also includes like, hey, if you want a little less battery life, but better performance in handheld, that could be a power profile certain third parties could use. Because they did that with Switch. They lowered battery life for a little extra power for some third parties that wanted it. Now, that might not be at launch. They might simplify it for launch, but I kind of feel like there's going to be more power profiles down the line. I think in the end, if you think about it, just think about what Nate the Hate put out there, right? So he's obviously, he's not going to go out there and do victory laps. That's not the way he is.
He should.
But he should. He absolutely should. He was getting shit on everywhere.
Yeah,
so like
absolutely.
He absolutely should do it. And maybe he says something smug on his next podcast, but he's not. He usually doesn't take victory laps. That being said, now that he's right, you got to start thinking, what are the games he said? Well, one of the games he said was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is coming to Switch 2.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a PS5 only game, or at least current gen only game, and not on PS4.
We're going to talk about that. I have a third-party segment that we're going to get into, so we're going to talk about that. But before we do, because I think games are important, what do you think about Mario Kart 9 or the next Mario Kart that they showed off? What were your initial thoughts about that?
I mean, obviously, it's not the best way to show off a new game for the first time, but they did this with Switch. So, like Mario Odyssey looked a little blurry on the Switch trailer too. What are you going to do? It's not a full screen thing.
YouTube
compression.
YouTube compression and all that.
Yeah. That being said, it looks like it might have 24 player.
It looks like it does. Yeah, that's the thing that we noticed from like the zoom out. You can see like the start lines.
Yeah.
There's
Like
definitely 24. Yeah.
yeah, it zooms out and you're like, oh shit,
Hmm.
that is definitely different. They are doubling the player. Oh, this is great.
Yeah.
So that was exciting. Obviously, the racetrack they showed, they just showed very basic parts of that track, so it's not like you learn really anything. I think it looks cool. The Donkey Kong design's new. Looks like more like the movie design.
Yep.
I think that was like the one character design difference that really popped out to me was Donkey Kong. And I'm sure there'll be some other ones as well. Look, my number one takeaway from it is when they showed Nintendo Switch in the reveal trailer, the first game they showed was Breath of the Wild. That was a launch game. When they showed off the Nintendo Switch OLED, the first game they showed was Metroid Dread. That came out the same day.
Yep.
Like Mario Kart feels like that's the launch game.
It looks like it's going to be the launch game. A couple things that I noticed, like with the Mario Kart 9 trailer or the next Mario Kart trailer, is that obviously like the draw distance in that level, that like there could be some different ways that you can go. When they do the zoom out, there is like
path thing.
Yeah, there's like paths that are coming from the left and to the right, and they go all the way. So it does seem like almost like that Yoshi course that was from I think the N64 or whatever, then they remade it and all that. But that was a little bit different because there was guided stuff, and even if you look at any of the old courses on Mario Kart 8, the draw distance and how far you can go is severely limited. It is 100% limited. Same thing with like Mario 64, or sorry, not Mario Kart 64. It's so limited on how far you can go. This one seems like you can drive out and kind of go to other places. And if you're having 24 racers, that right there, that doubles the strain, doubles plus the strain on the system. So kind of going back to the hardware and people saying, oh, it looks the same. Well, if you have 24 people on the screen, plus you can put out the graphics that looks better, plus you're going to have more details and bigger levels, that right there can kind of show you some of the capabilities of what the Switch 2 can do, in addition to them actually innovating within Mario Kart, having something different. I mean, I don't think anybody guessed. I didn't guess that they would double the count of races. I thought maybe they'll go up a bit, but I didn't think it was going to be a double. That's a lot.
Like 16 or something.
Yeah.
Or if it is double, it's double because it's double dash style where there's 2 racers per car.
Mm-hmm.
No, they legitimately looks like there's 24 racers, and like what we saw, people are like, yeah, you have the increased draw distance, definitely some really nice character models and animations, but like we didn't see the item chaos that happens and still runs at 60 FPS because Mario Kart always runs at 60 FPS. We haven't seen. There's just a lot we haven't seen that we know is part of Mario Kart that's just going to, it's one of those things like, how could Nintendo make a statement with Mario Kart after Mario Kart 8 and be like, it's so much better? Yeah, they're going to have all the stages and have all the, maybe some new items and some crazy stuff going on. But the fact that it's double the racers is literally like, okay, yeah, you ain't playing Switch anymore.
Yeah, that right there is such a huge benefit, especially online, like the hecticness of Mario Kart and all of that. But there's so many other things that you can do with modes now, right? With 24 people having like the battle mode. Imagine battle mode with that many people, or having different types of modes, or even team racing. Team racing, instead of becoming 6-on-6, now you have 12-on-12. That is a whole different complexion for team racing and for other things. So yeah, that is a huge addition. I think it's bigger than what people like. When you say it's one thing, actually playing, it's a whole other thing. Like like if you've ever played like 8-player Smash, that is like a feature that it's hard to use because you can't use it online. But if you've ever played 8-player Smash in person, or even just playing 4-player Smash, but doubling that to 8, if you ever have 8 people all playing Smash, it's insane. It's super fun and it's insane. I've done it a couple times, and anytime that I played it, I thought it was just hilarious and it was like the funniest thing ever. So with Mario Kart, you'll be able to play that online. You won't have to worry about having 24 people in your house. But yeah, I think it's going to be super cool. One of the biggest drawbacks, is kind of taken away now at this point.
Yeah, and they could revamp the entire online, because like we were still rocking the online from Wii U. Like they didn't obviously haven't shown online stuff. They're going to show that later, but I think it's going to be absolutely wild what this game is going to be able to do. I think it's also when I think about it as a launch game, Nintendo usually likes to have 2, right? And they like that one that hits kind of on the casual, broader audience. Well, I think that's what Mario Kart does. It hits on every audience. So then I kind of feel like, well, if those mouse features are there, what if there's some cross-gen with Metroid Prime 4 Beyond at launch?
Ooh, yeah. I mean, people have talked about cross-gen and whether, what they can do for cross-gen or what they can actually have for it. So, I mean, I'm interested to see. Now, I think kind of going off like the third party. I mean, I guess we can do a little bit of first party stuff. We can talk about that. I don't want to keep you for too much longer. I said 15 minutes. We're already near that. But just real quick, let's talk a little bit. Then we'll talk about third party just after this. But let's talk a little bit about what we could see for other first party games. Now, I think you said, what did Jason Schreier say? Jason Schreier, he confirmed something about.
Yeah, his exact quote on I
Okay.
got it off.
You can pull that up. But I think for me personally, yeah, cross-gen games are definitely a possibility. Chat, people that are watching the video and everything. Cross-gen, I mean, we can see patches. Apparently, for Breath of the Wild, updated 60 frames. I mean, that seems like it might be on the table as well. So yeah, I can definitely see stuff like that.
Yeah, the reason I brought up Metroid Prime 4 is if that mouse capability is true, it's an FPS. It's perfect.
For like the new mouse capability on there. Absolutely, man. That'd be great. I mean, as an option, clearly for people who want to play it that way.
Yeah. So there's what Jason Schreier said, is that if you're wondering, one reason Nintendo randomly dropped a Switch 2 teaser 2.5 months ahead of the proper reveal in April would be to allow third-party companies to start officially announcing their games for the system.
Yeah, okay. So let's jump into that. We'll end the segment on end the video segment on this. Let's talk about those third-party games because we got a bunch of rumors. You reported on it. I watched the video. Good stuff. I reported on it as well. A bunch of third-party games. Metal Gear Solid Delta. That is the remake of Metal Gear Solid 3 that's coming. Apparently, a half dozen Ubisoft games: Assassin's Creed Shadows, Assassin's Creed Mirage, Mario plus Rabbids, The Division, and Rainbow Six Siege. I don't know if all those will come, but whatever. There's also been other reports of Atlas, Metaphor ReFantazio, which is a Game of the Year winner, multiple different Game of the Year winners from big websites.
I think it's not PS4, so that should be like a given.
Yeah, exactly. That should be like a given. Persona 3 Reload. That game's also on PlayStation 4. I had heard, so let me give you guys a little bit of other information. Some of you guys might have heard this or not, but I had heard that Nintendo, like, those games were supposed to launch. If the Switch 2 would have launched in 2024, those games would have been there, But obviously Switch 2 did not launch in 2024. It's not going to be out probably till June. That's what I'm guessing based off of how Nintendo did Switch 1 with the reveal in October, direct or presentation in January, and then launch in March. So the reveal now is January, the direct is April, and then 2 months later. So I'm guessing maybe June. But what do you think so far about what third-party games that we can get Nintendo Prime? And is there anything else? Is there any maybe things that you've heard about Nintendo third-party games that are coming over? Because I know you have some sources too. So what do you think?
Okay, so for starters, all the third-party games that have been already reported out there, I think it all makes sense. Obviously, the Rebirth one is one that gets focused on a lot because, again, people are worried about this not being able to get games that are exclusive to the current gen.
Okay, real quick for the chat, Prime, real quick. That's Final Fantasy VII Remake and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Both of those games. Yeah.
Yeah, Remake is supposed to come this year, according to Nate the Hate. Rebirth next year. But I always bring up Rebirth because that's the only one of those two that's exclusively on a PS5, which means that Switch 2 can supposedly run games that are exclusive to current gen. At least in terms of how that game is built in particular. We obviously already know the Call of Duty contract as well. That's gonna do its thing. Look, I think all those games make sense. I honestly think, if we go all the way back to last year, it was, who was it? It was some journalist who said in September of, 2 years ago now, September of 2023, that we're going to see, when Switch 2 is revealed, all these third-party trailers have Switch 2 logos in it. I think we're at a point in the industry where if you're a third-party developer and you're not considering putting your game on Switch 2, you're just leaving sales on the table. Switch is coming off 150 million plus gen. Xbox obviously isn't doing well. PlayStation has been okay. It might get boosted by GTA 6 coming up, but it hasn't been doing quite as well as the prior generation. So Nintendo's kind of poised with their games and their partners to quickly become the market leader all over again. And if you're not there and you're not supporting the system day one, people might not be there. I think, next week we get that Xbox Direct, right? I think a lot of those games are going to be on Switch 2, like Doom the Dark Ages, as an example.
I think it's risky, right? I think it's risky to, if you're a third party, right? Especially if you're a Japanese third party. I think that goes without saying. But if this system blows up and you're not there, that is, these are all for-profit companies, It's not charity. So if you're not there and this system blows up, and you're not making money. I mean, we saw not backlash, but we saw the developers that were, I would say, expressing remorse or expressing like, oh man, if we would have been there earlier. I mean, a lot of them Japanese developers were saying it like, man, we should have been there earlier, you know? And I don't think they want to have that problem, especially coming off the, like you said, 150 million selling system and third-party games actually having success. Like The Witcher 3, Doom, these games actually sold. Skyrim, a lot of these big Western third-party games actually sold. So I do think that if the developer can get their game on there, if they have the resources and time, or the publisher, I think they'll do it. I think it won't get everything, but I do think third-party support, based off of what you heard, or based off what we've heard so far, I do agree with you that we are going to see Metal Gear, we are going to see these Ubisoft titles, which Ubisoft even supported the Wii U at launch, you know? So, or like the Wii U, like for until it stops selling, then they're like, all right, we're good.
One big title I'm almost expecting, even though some people think it's crazy, is Monster Hunter Wilds.
Yeah, you know,
Huge.
Yeah, very interesting. Go ahead.
There's a massive Monster Hunter audience on Nintendo. That's already proven. Like it could be a 10 million plus seller on Switch 2. Like it would be leaving sales on the table. Now I know there's been talks about how like the trailers and the performance on like PS5 may not look the greatest at the moment. I'm like, that's cool. But like Capcom likes to make money.
Yeah, you know what? And the reason why I think Monster Hunter Wilds is coming is because, listen, they're going to have a huge audience on PC. It's going to sell crazy like there. It's going to sell very good on PlayStation and whatever. But if there's an Xbox Series S version of the game, I definitely think they can get that made for the Nintendo Switch 2. Unless they're going to make a completely different Monster Hunter. That'd be the only thing that I would say, like, okay, well, maybe they're just going to make a different Monster Hunter. But I don't think there's any need to make a wholly different Monster Hunter game this time around. I don't think the power jump is that big of a difference between you know, the Xbox Series S and what you're making there and what you can retrofit to use on a Nintendo Switch 2 compared to like how big of a jump it is from, let's just say, PS4, Xbox One to Nintendo Switch 1, you know?
Yeah. And what's I think anything on Series S can be retrofitted to Switch 2. What's interesting about bringing that up is I didn't even realize this was actually researched by Thunderstash on our podcast. He found out that GTA 6 is already confirmed for Xbox Series S.
Yeah, it's confirmed. It's 100% confirmed. Yeah.
GTA 6, people all saying it can't be on Switch 2. If it's running on Series S, you can't rule it out.
And there's been rumors about, like, some pretty credible rumors about Red Dead Redemption 2 and about Tekken 8, you know, and I don't think Tekken is on PlayStation 4, is it? Tekken 8's not on PS4 or PS5. Or no, it's on PS5, sorry, but it's not on PS4, is it?
Sure.
I'm not 100% sure.
I don't think it is. I don't think Tekken 8 is.
So there's been stuff about Tekken, there's been Red Dead, so there's been a number.
I expect Red Dead 2. I actually know for a fact it was being developed for Switch at one point, and then they just canceled it because they couldn't quite get it where they wanted it to be. And if they were already doing that for Switch, and they brought Red Dead 1, obviously, they're clearly going to bring that to the next one. I think Cyberpunk will come over as well.
Cyberpunk. Yeah, Nate talked about Cyberpunk. He didn't say that it was coming, but I remember in his podcast, him and MVG were like, oh yeah, maybe Cyberpunk comes over, you know?
It just makes sense. It even runs on some pretty low-end hardware on PC if people don't really realize. That game's very scalable. And like, just to throw out something that I've heard since you brought up that I know people, I'm not going to name any specific games because I haven't been given permission to do that. But what I can say is if you like
Prime,
Star
before
Wars,
I'm going to cut you off. No, Prime, we need the deets. You got to tell me right now. You need to blow your source right now. No, I'm joking. Go ahead.
If you like Star Wars games, there's a lot of Star Wars games coming.
Okay, so Star Wars, that's the Jedi, what was it, Fallen Order, or what's it called?
I'm not gonna name names.
Well, okay, the Star Wars games that are already out. I'm not saying that yours, but can you just give me the names of the Star Wars games so I can get those names right? I just want to know. Okay, I'll look them up. Screw you. I'll look them up. I can't tell me the name of the game.
Squadrons. You know, there's a whole bunch of them.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, I just want to know. Star Wars, what's it called? Fallen. Okay, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order Nintendo Prime. I'm talking about that game. I'm not saying that you're telling me that game is coming, but Fallen Order.
No, my words get twisted sometimes.
Okay, that's true. That's true. Words okay. And then Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
Jedi Survivor.
Yes.
There's Squadrons as well. There's Outlaws that came out last year.
All of those games are on PlayStation 4.
Sure. Is Outlaws on PS4? I can't remember.
I think Outlaws launched on PS. Oh no. Outlaws is not on PS4. Sorry, Outlaws is not on PS4.
That was the Ubisoft one.
But yeah, that's the Ubisoft one. But like Star Wars, the Jedi Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor, All of those are on PlayStation 4. They actually went back and ported Survivor to the PlayStation 4. They're like, we need some more sales.
I know about an unannounced Star Wars game that's coming too.
Oh, you heard it here? Did you say this on your show yet, Prime?
Yeah, I said it a couple weeks ago.
Damn it! That's okay. Well, you're hearing it again for the second time. Prime says unannounced Star Wars that's coming to Switch too.
Yep.
Okay.
And PS5 and Xbox, obviously.
That's fine. It's third party. That's good.
Yeah. Like, this is the thing. Like, I've heard about other games as well. And I know, like, Paul Gale's in your chat right now. I know he's heard about a bunch of stuff. Like, it sounds like third parties are deciding, all the major ones. Obviously, indies are always there to support. They get tons of sales on Nintendo. I think that third parties have realized, the AAAs, that they made a mistake with Switch. And they're not going to make that mistake this time around.
Yeah. It was a pretty big mistake with Switch, because even if you didn't have the big, like, let's just say PS4, Xbox One, PS5, Xbox Series, whatever games, they could have definitely went back and looked at the 360 and PS3, you know? And a lot of those games didn't come over.
EA even thought that, like, the FIFA games, and even though they were always like old versions, were still worth dropping every year because they were getting enough sales.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
NBA 2K never went anywhere. Got enough sales every year.
Yeah, people would buy that crusty version of NBA 2K and FIFA.
30 FPS is rough.
People would buy those on, like, those actually sold well. You would see them in the top sellers, and it's just like, people are buying NBA 2K. And listen, it's really casual fans. People, they see it in the store, they see it, and they're like, oh, it's on my Switch, I can play it anywhere, and they barely notice frame rate and the resolution and stuff. It's obviously that audience just wants to have a portable experience, and they just play casually. You know, it's not the hardcore, you know, FIFA Ultimate Teamer or, you know, hardcore online type of person. And yeah, they sell a lot. So I was really suspect about the basketball games and the football games coming over. But I think that maybe that leads to them actually putting out stuff like Madden. EA having Madden, having college football.
Ridiculous if they're skipping Switch 2 with those games.
Yeah, it'd be ridiculous. I mean, it's ridiculous that they skip Switch 1. Like, Madden seems perfect. Like, football practice afterwards. I mean, I played football. We would play Madden on the PS2 back in the day. Yeah. Like, after football practice, like on like one of those ghetto PS2 screens.
In the locker room, man. Yeah. After practice every time.
Yeah, and like, you know, when I would go back and I'd see like my old high school and I go, you know, see the team, and people had Switches in there, man. They were playing games afterwards. They were playing on Nintendo Switch and all that. And I remember back in the day when I was playing football, like, we had a Game Boy Advance, you know. We had like DS. No, I was already old. But...
Yeah. DS was after I was graduating.
Oh, so yeah, I'd already been. DS.
I already been out of that life.
Yeah. So for me, it was like Game Boy and it was GBA. And people would even be playing that. So, I mean, I would see all sorts of Switch. So to not have Madden there was, and I remember people would always ask, because they know I'm the video game guy. They're like, yo, when's Madden coming? And I'm like, bro, I don't know when Madden's coming. Like, I don't know. People want to play it on their Switch. So, yeah, man, like, all right then, Prime, man. I think we've exhausted at least for right now. I'm pretty sure there'll be plenty of stuff. I want to thank you, Prime, for coming on to the stream. I will definitely, you know, drop in on your Nintendo Byte podcast when I can. Or if you want to have me on just for an individual conversation. Where can everyone find you at, though, good sir?
Yeah, it's Nintendo Prime everywhere. Twitter, Blue Sky. I don't know that active on Blue Sky, but YouTube is where my primary gig. You know, I got a big Nintendo Byte bonus podcast tonight with like 10 different YouTubers coming on. So that's gonna be like the next big exciting thing. I mean, I have a video coming out today, as I'm sure everyone does. But
yeah, more the merrier for that one. Hey, Prime, thanks for coming on though, bro. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem, man. You have a good day.
You too, man.